Okay, one more thing. Let's quickly treat an event triggering. Then we start our first project, mini project. All right, so JavaScript has some events. So when I say events, events are some things that when it happens, you can point other action or function to be triggered. So JavaScript has several events that you can listen to, and you use it to trigger your scripts to execute. So let's do, for example, if you have a function that is called greet, and all you do in this function is to console log hello world in the console. Now, you can trigger this function from your web page when a user clicks something or clicks a button. So we have now a button here. If we have a button here, say click me as the text. If you load this, you see the button here, click me. So if you click this now, you see that nothing happens. Nothing is printing in our console. Now that is where the event comes in. Now we have several events in JavaScript, and one of them is onClick. onClick listens to click events when you click on the element that is listening to it. For instance, now this is the button. The onClick is on the button. So whenever you click the button, it will trigger whichever function you've written inside here. In this case, we want to greet. We want to call our greet function. So you put it like this to trigger the greet function. So if I click, I need to run this again. So if I click on this, you see hello world is triggered. If I click it again, you see hello world is triggered. How many times I click it, it will keep calling the same function and triggering the instruction that has been written in that function. You see, if you remember very well, you know this is how to trigger, to call a function. You put in the name followed by the parentheses. This is what we did here. So there's nothing magical here. The only difference is that this thing will only happen when a click event occur. So that is what this onClick does. And this is a HTML attribute, but it's an event listener. Okay. Do you have any question on this?
No.
No.
Cool. We've discussed about onClick. It's not only onClick that are available events that you can listen for. You can also listen for on mouse hover, on mouse out. Sorry. You can also listen for on mouse hover. So when a mouse goes over an element, you want to trigger a script. Or when mouse goes out of an element, you want to trigger a script. These are all the same syntax. Here, you can plug it in inside the element in the HTML body, and it will do what you want it to do. So if you say on mouse over, this is, let's say we want to also trigger greet. All right, so let's run this, and you see when our mouse goes over, you see that it triggers hello world. And we go out, we come back again, it triggers hello world. Trigger again, trigger again, trigger again. So anytime we hover on this button, it will be triggering those functions. And the same, if we click also, it will also trigger. So it will do the same thing. So if I hover, it clicks, and if I click, see that hello world is being triggered. All right. So there are a couple of attributes that you can use to listen to events like that. If you say on mouse, you will see a list of events that you can listen to. There's on mouse down, on mouse move, on mouse out, on mouse over, on mouse up, on mouse wheel. No, there are so many events you can listen to, and they are all in the same format, the same syntax. Okay, so other things that can happen also is that you can use this same, let me call this one click.js. So you can also use your JavaScript the same way so let's call this our button that we want to access. You can use JavaScript to load this button and also attach an event listener to it. So if you come to your script here, we can say our button equals to document.get element by ID, and the ID is button. So we want to attach an event listener to say on click. Once this is clicked, we want to call this function greet. All right, so if we do this, you see your this still triggers your hello world. This doesn't have any over, and when you click, it triggers hello world. So let's run this again so you see it more clear. This is click.js, the one we targeted with our scripts. So if we click this, it triggers hello world. And that is because we use our JavaScript to access the element, and we attach the onClick event, and we pass in this function to it. Remember, I did not call the function like this. I just assigned the identifier. So when I click this, JavaScript knows to call or to invoke this greet method. All right. You can also do other events like that, like on mouse over. On mouse over, you can also pass in the same function, greet. Okay. So if we run this, you see that when I hover on this, it triggers hello world. And when I click, it also triggers hello world. Okay. Do you have any question here?
Yes. Meaning that if you want to trigger it using JavaScript or this, you will not put the parentheses as in when calling normal function.
Yes. Okay. You don't need to put the parentheses because it will call this function, we call it when it is clicked. And again, you can also define your own function like this, the way we normally define assignment function. Then you can call your greet like this. Should in case your greet needs a parameter that you need to pass to it, you define it like this, and it will behave the same way. So let's comment this one so it doesn't trigger the over. So if we come here and we click, you see our hello world is still triggered. Okay.
All right.
So this is very important if you have a parameter that you want to pass in. So you can pass in something like this. And when you run it and you click, you see a little of it there. All right. So this one is, if you don't have any parameter, you can just assign it straight to the name like this. And JavaScript will invoke the method when these events are triggered. Again, use the W3 School link that I share with you guys to look at the list of all the events that are available. There are so many events that are available. These ones are just the frequently used ones. This on click, on over. These are frequently used ones.